this on my last video, and people would have every right to be pissed for putting in misleading. So damn it, why the fuck can I headline now? Jesus Christ. There. I should have that. Yeah. Edit this. That. Get me a drink. Shut up, stomach. Alright. Hopefully this will work. I hope this will work. With these pictures here, I'd have to go to my slideshow. Hopefully it will. Let's see, I forgot which way to go on the arrow here. Hopefully this way. I haven't been able to do as much because of my legs and everything, but I don't think UFOs are out here a lot, and I did have some new stuff, but let me see here. Let me see. This was in space.
I think that's just a helicopter, probably, but
no, it's not actually. I was wrong. This is what I was wrong. It's not a helicopter. There's two right there. Two are moving right there. Yeah, except for when it's moving like that. Yeah. Let's see now. Don't tell me, or
no, I think that's just.
Which way? Which way do I need to go?
No, I think that's just a helicopter, probably, but probably is.
Actually, it's not. But okay, can I go? Oh no, it's a slideshow supposed to work. So there's some right there. Some right there. So I'm about to get to. Oh, wow. Alright. Yeah, some of these already showed up before. Closer one. closer. What this is, I don't know, but let's see. Looks like there might be a couple right here. This is not in the proper order, so I'm sorry. Also, what they could do is fade in and out of the sky and the darkness and stuff. Yeah, there is two right there.
There you are.
Yeah, this is what I did. Oh, I showed this stuff before, but yeah. There's usually 3 of these together, but now there's more of them.
Wow, yeah.
They can just cloak themselves.
There you are.
I just try to get them to come closer, but they don't want it, of course. But
Oh, yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, babes.
Is this the same one or what? These are not supposed to be doubles. Yeah, I always tell them, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, babe.
Yep. There's second right here.
Two objects. Fuck yeah. Damn, fuck yeah.
I want to get to the newer ones, so.
Fuck yes.
Why the F is this stupid thing making doubles? They're not supposed to be doubles. There's another one right there. That's in a different area. Yeah.
It is the.
Now this one is more up to date. This is like weeks ago, a couple weeks ago or something. Yeah, these things seem, these UFOs are very, very close. This is a newer one. And some people, you know, are big excited, want to see this stuff, and then they go off and do their own thing. I don't understand how people would not want to see this stuff. It's like, I don't understand where people are not interested in seeing these out here. Let's see, is this, my pictures are not moving in here. What the fuck? These pictures are not, that's a little, what the fuck is wrong? There's just the stars there. There's 2 of them right there. Something's wrong with Streamlabs, I think. There's 2. There's one right there. Let's see. Why the F isn't this? What the fuck is up with this? Let's see. See. That's gonna mess up the live stream on that. What is about that? Let me see here. Like, what the fuck is up with this thing? I need to get this capture window. Let's see if this does it. Let's see here. It's not it. Got that, but Y and the F is in it. I'll try to get these pictures on here. Why is it? For some reason, it's not showing the others. I don't know what the fuck is up with Streamlabs. But it's really pissing me off. Oh, I think I know what it is. I think I know what it is. I think I know. I think I know. I think I know. Yeah. A window, and it should be. Why is it showing my pictures? Why isn't it updating? Let's see here. This isn't working. I have to take this out and get my other. I think it's because I have different screens on. Let me see. Let's get here. Take this screen out. This one here. This is a mess. I was hoping to show those pictures. There's something wrong with that. Oh well. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck is up with this stupid ass Streamlabs. But it sure is pissing me off. Let's see. What I need to do is get rid of that. It goes. So. Negative. Let's see here. Try to get those photos back on here and it won't do it. Let's see. Yeah, it's not letting me. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but anyways, we'll get to this then. Alright, this is Michael Franzese. By Italian, he's probably going to get that accent, but let's see. They're planning fake alien invasion, UFO, so-called expert. I say so-called expert because he thinks he knows everything. He thinks all ETs, extraterrestrials, are good, and they're not all good. So, I mean, obviously, I thought I'd do this because I don't know. No one man should be called, the foremost expert with this or go-to guy. Anyways.
Were hostile. We would have been shut down as a civilization in August of 1945 when we detonated the first atomic bomb. At the end of World War II, under Operation Paperclip, instead of him being hanged at Nuremberg, those guys, the geniuses, were brought over. And while he was on his deathbed in 1974,
well, the reason for that, he's going to say it again. They're just going through this part real quick, this entrance. But the thing is, those guys didn't participate in all of the killings of the Jews. That's why they were killed. Just hang innocent people. They wanted to make rockets. They wanted to go to the moon, Mars, etc. So that's why they did it. They weren't soldiers. I mean, they helped make V-2 rockets, but they didn't care about the mass destruction part, the military part. They wanted to use it for scientific purposes and astronomical purposes, stuff like that, going into space. But
he said very directly, and I'm quoting, they are hoaxing an alien threat to try to unite the world around sort of a totalitarian and rather fascist agenda, but it will trick and fool almost everyone. Look at where we are with just what we developed in the 40s and 50s with nuclear weapons. Now imagine technologies orders of magnitude more powerful at the basis of space-time being weaponized. We just did the scientific testing on something called the Booga sphere, and it's an extraterrestrial sphere about this big. That device we tested, it is 12,560 years old. People have this all backward. We're the threat. Humans, with the kind of technologies we have, we're the ones that are a threat to other worlds out there. So I would say...
Well, that's yes and no. I mean, he claims he knows everything, he doesn't. I want that bullshitting stop. That's why I'm doing this, because I'm sick of him saying that, that there are bad extraterrestrials out there. I don't give a fuck what it is. I've had more, my experiences started before he got in with the UFOs, ET stuff. So, I mean, for me, I know what I know. He's off doing whatever hell he's doing.
Say 99.99999% of everyone in government, the public, the media, if they saw that thing, they would say it's alien, but it isn't. So see, the biggest part of the secrecy isn't the extraterrestrial part. The biggest part is what we have and what it's been used for.
The criminal part that they want to keep secret.
Hey everyone, welcome to another sit down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. All is very good, very blessed on this end, my friends. And as always, I give all the praise, honor, glory, and thanksgiving to our God for that. Before I get into it, please subscribe. Birthday present for me. My birthday is May 27th, going to be 3/4 of a century. Can't believe that. But it's better than the alternative, right? Not having a birthday. It's all good. But my team is challenged. They said, you think we can reach 2 million subscribers by your birthday? We're very close. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. We'd appreciate it. Either, do I tend not to believe it? I don't really believe it because I haven't seen it, and there really hasn't been any evidence to this point that they really exist. We've heard from...
there is right in front of your fucking face. Go outside. You're going to see UFOs. I go outside, I see them, etc. I'm sick of these bleepers say there's no proof of this shit, and they go on Capitol Hill and testify that we have proof of it and everything. These motherfuckers don't know shit they're talking about.
People in the military and so on and so forth. Okay, but we haven't seen one. We haven't talked to one. We haven't seen one of those spaceships or, you know, aircraft, whatever you want to call them.
They're all over the sky.
We have a very interesting...
about. I've done videos on this. You know, I've done videos of UFOs in the sky and stuff. And what the fuck are you talking about? You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Neither does anybody else that say the same old bullshit. It's like the fucking enforcers. It's like the fucking enforcers, you know, going on there saying there's no proof of UFOs. You know, well, where are they? They're right in front of your fucking face. I feel like slapping their fucking heads. It's like, here, I'll show you where they are. I'll show you where these ET's UFOs are. I swear, some people can be so fucking stupid and retarded sometimes. I want to get this because I already blew up, rightly so. But pisses me off.
Delay my very special guest, UFOologist, or ufologist, I should say, Dr. Stephen Greer.
Ufologist.
All right, Dr. Greer, really a pleasure to sit down with you. I've been looking forward to this. It's a tremendous, I don't want to say controversy, but, you know, UFOs. We've been hearing about them for years. A lot of people say they exist. Many people say they don't exist. And really excited to talk to you about it because you are a world-renowned expert on this, and so I've got some questions. I want to start off with this, something that happened recently with our former president. In a February 2026 podcast interview with Brian Tyler Cohen, Barack Obama addressed aliens, extraterrestrials, in a lighthearted lightning round of questions. When asked directly, are aliens real, he responded, they're real, but I haven't seen them. And they're not being kept in, what is it, Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the President of the United States.
Yep.
Was Barack Obama right on point?
Or what's
going on with that statement?
Well, and that wasn't as important as, and it's good to meet you too, by the way, what President Trump said subsequently to that, as you know, where he then ordered an executive order for the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to get to the bottom of it and release all the secret information. So let's unpack that. Okay. So I'm an emergency trauma doctor, medical doctor.
Yes.
But
let's see, how do you get this? Alright, I got that. I did. Where his body is arrested by ICE for the last 3 days. Good. Let's see. Got that. Where is by... Okay, got that there.
I've been doing briefings for folks like the director of the CIA and putting briefings together for the president since I first met with the director of the CIA for President Clinton in December 1993. Almost 33 years ago. So we've been providing this information to the executive, the president, and to Congress and other people over the years, and we have definitive proof of it. It's not speculation if they exist. But the problem is, and this is the part of it that's very disconcerting, is that the reason I was asked to go up from North Carolina, where I was practicing as a emergency and trauma guy, to brief Clinton CI directors, because the president and his CI director had made inquiries into this issue, and they knew there were covert operations related to it, and they were lied to and denied access. So at that point, I realized that this was an unconstitutional and criminal organization that would make the mafia look like nothing.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to be very blunt here.
Too.
We established in 1993 that the programs related to this were unconstitutional and were committing treason. So this has been a huge struggle for 33 years. I left my medical career to fix this problem. But when Obama said that, you have to remember he's a lawyer. So you have to think how lawyers would parse words. He said that he knew they existed. Well, how did he know that? We had put together the briefing for him. I did. And so he had all that evidence, but from an external non-governmental source, right? Because my organization is the world's expert team on this, globally. There's not a close second. And so what happened is that he said he knew they existed, but he didn't see anything as president because he was denied access. Now remember John Podesta, who was the chief of staff for Bill Clinton and later put together the Obama cabinet and all of that. He also had tried to get to the bottom of it as a sort of a right-hand consigliere for President Obama, never got anywhere. And in fact, when he left to run Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2016 against Mr. Trump, he said his biggest regret of being in government for all those decades was never being able to effect disclosure on the UFO issue. So this is a very serious problem. And he's like, well, if that's true, and it is, we can prove it in a court of law or anywhere else, what are they hiding?
My friends, let me ask you something. How does it make you feel knowing that, and they're all done in...
So there are actually three things being mixed all together as UFOs and aliens. Most of it's nonsense, frankly. The part of it that's real is mind-blowing. So the majority of these objects that you see are actually man-made anti-gravity or electrogravitic craft. My uncle, he worked his whole career at Northrop Grumman, big aerospace company, and was on the team that designed...
I gotta say again, these are his opinions. I disagree with good some of them and everything. But people are going to believe what they want to or whatever, so I mean, which people are supposed to do their own research and stuff like that also. I always say that. Don't believe what any of us have to say. People need to go out and experience stuff for themselves as well. But I say it's half-half. I don't think it's 90% or 80%, but I could be wrong as well. He doesn't know that.
And the lunar module put the first man on the moon. That was my mom's oldest brother on that team. But we also know from Lockheed Skunk Works and Raytheon, and remember, I now have 750 whistleblowers who've been in the CIA and Department of Defense and these big corporations that have come on the record. And in fact, a lot of it's in the president's briefing document. You can look at this thing. This is available to anybody who wants it, right? Online now at drstephengreer.com. And we've redacted sensitive information out of it, certain tactical information and certain names that have to be redacted, but the public can get this. We've never published one until now because we know what's about to come out. The executive order of the president has issued.
I should say, also for the other side, there have been some whistleblowers that went to him and they got bad experiences from him. I forgot Greer. Last name's Greer. I'm not very good with names sometimes. So, but I just have to put that out there as well. That some whistleblowers, have had trouble trying to go through him and stuff like that and everything. So
Issued makes it clear the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, has to get to the bottom of this and release those files. Now, the problem is, you would think that if you're Secretary of Defense or President, you order a review and you get all the information. That's not how it works. The only way the President and Secretary of War is going to get to the bottom of this is because of the assets we have provided over to them and other people who we have in the system giving them information. Because the fact that you have a very senior member of the military, the most senior, he's the civilian head of the Pentagon, doesn't mean anything, because we've been through this for now 30-some years. For example, I briefed the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, which is basically like the CIA for the military, and a 3-star general back some years ago, and he had been denied access to this totally, but he knew there were activities going on. That is your very definition of insubordination and treason, right? So this is a very serious issue. And the fact is, the reason it's so secret is that there have been covert programs using man-made UFOs doing criminal enterprises since the late 50s and early 60s. Now, there's maybe 20% of the ones that people see are actually of extraterrestrial origin. And we know how to distinguish between the two. And the third category that's being put out there as alien are what they call extra-dimensional. It's an unusual phenomenon that comes from another dimension, but it's not extraterrestrial and it's not man-made, except in some cases.
Well,
it's a covert program.
I totally disagree with that. I believe that it could be multi-dimensional. They could do that, but they're also from different worlds as well. Some are. They are multi-dimensional. What they could do, they could go through like solid matter. They do all kinds of stuff that humans can't and stuff like that. So it depends on what extraterrestrial life form, what life form it is or whatever as well. So it depends.
I'm staging
it's like all
as
the above.
Alien using technology that kind of like stages some weird, creepy thing from another dimension. So the issue is way more complicated than anyone can imagine, and the science behind it is very complex, because you're dealing with let's just say anybody at MIT or Harvard or Caltech is about 5,000 years behind the technology curve of what's been discovered at my uncle's old company, Northrop Grumman or Lockheed Skunk Works. So the technology, by studying extraterrestrial vehicles from the mid-40s to now, there are extraordinary technologies that would be an incredible benefit to humanity, but they've never come out. And let me explain why. If you look at those videos and CNN, Fox, all this stuff of these objects flying, like the Tic Tac, they call it the Tic Tac, that are jets were chasing off the coast of California. Remember, that was a Lockheed Skunk Works device. Now, the jet pilots thought it was alien. I said, nope, no, sir. I talked to the F-18 Hornet. That's one of ours. We have images of it from
You don't know that. You don't know that. For sure. We do have reverse technology stuff from them that we use and stuff like that, but I really question you really knowing that or not and stuff, and I have a huge problem with him saying it's this or that. You're not all knowing as much as you say you are.
1967, and they're in this book. So this book is a whole expose, and it's all the crash retrievals where we have used electromagnetic weapons to down these objects, retrieve them, and then studied and reverse engineered the technology. That's been going on for 80 years. So you can imagine what the technology curve looks like. It was starting like this, and then it's going like that. And so they can hoax a lot of things and say it's alien. For example, the Psychological Warfare Division at the Pentagon have been using those craft with certain other technologies to stage alien abductions and mutilations and all that. And we have a CIA document that states that. It flat out says, it's a 1985 document saying that they were using.
And it's like you said that the U.S. is like big robots for ETs. Well, how did they get this imprint from? Where did they get this blueprint or imprint to make an alien body or whatever? They had to get it from some other source that's not from here. So a lot of ways that also debunks part of your theory as well. Is that where they get that from or whatever, they had to get it from another intelligence or whatever.
Using this advanced technology as the euphemism to stage alien abductions for its psychological warfare purpose. Why? Well, because they want people to be afraid of another bogus enemy so that they can establish a global totalitarian superstate and get trillions of dollars from not just the United States, but from the whole world to fake, you know.
They do that. I hate this fucking thing. It doesn't turn off, work. Jeez. Anyways, the thing is that they're different. I keep on saying this, I keep on saying it again. There are good ETs and there are bad ones, or non-human intelligence. All right. And the thing is, he says they're all good. That's bullshit. I have other reports of different kinds, not just grays, like you say or whatever, that, you know, they're doing this or whatever, and that's from our government. You're full of shit, Greer. You are.
Fake enemy that doesn't exist. You know, this is the biggest hoax ever that has been perpetrated on the public. And that's why I say about 90% of the information out there on this subject is rubbish. I mean, or it's been staged for its as a disinformation campaign. So the part of it that's real, this is where you do need a guide through this wilderness. And I spoke, I won't say who, but to one of President Trump's prior national security advisors from his first term, who told me point blank, we were never told anything about this subject. This guy had been a very high official in the military and intelligence community in the United States. And he says, no, neither I in that position nor as national security advisor to the president were ever told anything about this. I said, well, that doesn't surprise me. So it's like a parallel covert program, but they've used probably 8 to 10, 12 trillion dollars in our funding over the last 60, 70 years on this. And so, but the benefit to humanity, think about this for a minute. The technology's running those devices, they're not using oil, rockets, jets, nuclear, wind, solar. That technology comes out, will replace all those systems with so-called free zero-point energy that would run your house and car with no power bill. And it would be, within 20 years, there'd be no pollution on the planet and no poverty. But you're going to have to transition out of $1,000 trillion in assets. And you're going to have to retire the power grid. You're going to have to retire all the oil, gas, and coal, and nuclear.
Yeah, put out the rich. The rich will no longer be rich. Well, the thing is, a lot of them already foreseen. Different countries have already put stock elsewhere and know that oil is not going to last. And so if we have Hormuz problem as well. And so, I mean, the thing is, that's about basically it. Also, ETs really destroys a lot of religions, stuff like that, which people like the Pope don't like, and why they hid stuff and everything. But
these fake little plug-in.
Oh, I remember now. All this magic or technologies is not all clean. So, I mean, with that in mind, we have to make a clean source with this reverse engineering. So, I mean, there have been a lot of people, including my father, worked around certain materials, stuff, and they get cancer and stuff like that, radioactive exposure, chemical exposure, and they pay a price for that. That's another reason why they want to keep this stuff secret. All the criminal activity with that, but a lot of this energy is not safe. So they need to make a safe version of that. But
Tesla cars, you're not going to need those because you're going to have to plug these in. Because the way these things are running, there's no payload of fuel on them. They're pulling energy from the fabric of space around it, which has been quantified back in the 50s as the 0-point energy field.
Right, that's what it
And
is.
that is how they're running. We understand the physics of it very well. And that disclosure would transform humanity and really would usher in a golden era, a golden age for humanity.
All right, my friends, I guarantee you, you have never tasted anything like this wine. I don't care what you've been drinking. I know French wine, Italian wine, Napa Valley. I don't care. This grape is 6,200 years old. It's been growing in the same soil since before the pyramids were built. One sip of my Irene, and you're going to look at every other bottle of wine differently. I guarantee it. FriendsEastWine.com. So, Doc, who's behind this covert operation to use aliens for the purpose you just described? Who would it be?
Oh, well, there's sort of a consortium of corrupt people in corporate, financial, and military and intelligence programs, and we know who they are.
And powerful enough to keep it away from the president and certain people in Congress and,
absolutely,
people in other high places.
I can tell you with high confidence that when President Kennedy was pushing to get to the bottom of this, that's why they killed him.
That's not
I know exactly who and how that was ordered. James Jesus Angleton the third, who was the fanatical leak stopper and mole hunter at CIA back then. He also arranged.
This is the thing is that Franzese knows this. I wish he would have taken him to task with this, because Franzese has said also with other guys in the mafia, and I've said it from what I know of as well, is that JFK and Robert F. Kennedy got in office because of the mob, and also his father's connections to the mob, Joseph Kennedy. And you don't get anything for free, especially being put in presidential office for free. You have to give back with the mob. And as soon as JFK, RFK went after the mob, so much the way that they did, they're going to be pissed. They say, hey, you owe us. We got you into office. They would have been in office if it wasn't for the mob. Getting, people to vote for JFK and RFK. So
the assassination of Marilyn Monroe, because she was going to tell the public what Kennedy knew about this. And I have a top secret document that's a wire transcript signed by him, James Jesus Angleton III, of Marilyn Monroe threatening to hold a press conference to tell the whole world what Jack Kennedy had told her about all this. And it's a legit...
I don't believe that, so it's just me. I just don't. Maybe I'm wrong. But Marilyn Monroe had dirt on at least JFK. People know that her JFK had an affair, all right? She also had an affair with guys in the mob as well. And they don't need her spouting her mouth about this stuff and everything. It's like, hey, you can do us a favor. And this is another reason why the mob is pissed. They helped them out, but they didn't help them back. There's different reasons for what happened with Maryland and what happened with JFK and RFK.
Document, and I have released that document. Now, people say, how can you release things that are stamped top secret? Let me be clear, and this is why I'm going to make an appeal to your listeners. These programs, because they're being run illegally, they can't use the National Security Act and the law to keep it secret. That's their Achilles heel.
Actually,
you can't break the law and then use a contract, a non-disclosure agreement, or a top secret clearance to keep that illegal operation secret. This is basic constitutional law, and I've run this by several constitutional attorneys who agree 100%. So this is why I keep making an appeal. Anyone listening who's worked on these programs, we can protect you. You will not be prosecuted. And now we have senior law enforcement and people in the national security system on the side of disclosing all this that we can put you in touch with, right? And we can surveil anyone who would threaten you. I'm just saying, I won't say how. We can make sure that if you come forward, there's a net around you, and we will be able to know if anyone's going to threaten you. So we're now making an appeal for another whole wave of whistleblowers to come forward right now, because the president wants this to get released fairly soon, and Mr. Hegseth needs a lot of help. I'll tell you right now, he will not get straight answers through the system.
So you're saying you're pretty confident that what's really behind the Kennedy assassination and Marilyn Monroe was his probing to find out what was really going on with this whole UFO program, if we'll call it.
Yeah, if to give you a little more detail, President Eisenhower was the last president to have constitutional control over these programs. And what happened in the late 50s, in his second term.
Well, actually, this started with Truman. From everything that I've heard with UFOs, which Truman was in office when UFOs crashed and stuff, and he created the CIA, all this stuff. So it happened with Truman, and then Eisenhower. The corruption was there with FDR, with them wanting to do stuff. Truman didn't like a lot of stuff that team Delano Roosevelt did, and so, man, it's a mess what happened. But it was handed off to then Truman had to get rid of a lot of Delano Roosevelt's team, and then with all its intelligence agencies, it was given to Eisenhower. All these new agencies that should have never been, there shouldn't have even really been. The only these people wanted that to be CIA. Now we have over 20 different intelligence agencies and advanced research agencies, top secret programs, etc. It's all BS, and all these trillions of dollars are being funneled. It's all these different agencies, and you have defense contractors. They're actually like cartels, even killing people for some of this information, etc. So
he was in favor of disclosing this information and doing a release of the technologies that would transform the world. But there were industrialists, the industrial part of the military-industrial complex, that said, "Oh no, you're not." And we're talking people like Alan Dulles and Paul Mellon and all kinds of folks. And so they kind of circled their limousines, and then they blocked the president from knowing any more what they were doing. We have a whistleblower who was a young Army guy in the White House with Eisenhower, who later became an attorney, a lawyer, that we have on record saying, yes, the president, Eisenhower, told him that he had been pushed away. And so President Kennedy knew that had happened, and he was trying to fix it. And he was going to do an executive order that would have very much released this, and also trim back the abuses at the agency, the CIA.
It's not just stuff like that. Okay, my dad was in a meeting with JFK. I know a lot more about this than he. My dad had access to nukes in Florida. He was in SAC, Strategic Air Command, and stuff. He had access to them. He knew what was going on, and my dad and other people that knew, was in the know, top generals and admirals, they wanted JFK to go and nuke Russia. They want to have nuclear war. The only ones that didn't were JFK and RFK. They also didn't like how soft he was about the Bay of Pigs and everything. They wanted an invasion of Cuba. And the reason why we haven't invaded, the reason why we also may have let Russia give oil to Cuba is because we have a treaty since 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis that we won't invade Cuba, we won't have nuclear war. They'll give us nukes. Also, that stopped nuclear war. 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. There was the bomb, there was the military, there was intelligence, and then maybe some UFO stuff. But that is not the main reason. They're full of BS when it comes to that.
Which has been at the core of it. Not all the CIA, but a very compartmented operation. And Marilyn Monroe, she didn't realize what kind of monster she was wrestling with, right? She thought she could hold a press conference, tell this.
Honestly, I think Marilyn Monroe, me knowing adult stars, I think that what she was doing, they didn't have an adult, type of industry that there is today, of course, but I think she would have been better with that from some of the stuff that I've heard. She was in with powerful guys, she was in over her head. She was with mafia men, and Michael Franzese, Soundy the Bull, could say that. They know about this, other mobsters know about that. And from what people have said, so many different people, is that she was going to say something, or afraid she was going to say something, right? And you can't do that. JFK felt threatened by Marilyn that she was going to say that she had an affair with JFK. RFK, I don't know. I heard that she may have done it with him. I don't know, of course. People, have an imagination to, but that's,
story that from having her affair with Jack Kennedy, kind of pillow talk, and that's she would do that and nobody would do anything to her. No, they killed her, and they made it look.
With Marilyn, she was oversexed, and that's why I say the adult industry, but maybe she'd belong doing that stuff instead of what she's doing. A lot of people think that she was a dumb blonde. She could be a good actor. I saw her in one film with Bob Mitchum. And she did a great job in acting with that movie. The other films, they used Marilyn and abused Marilyn. They want to use her as some type of sex goddess. And that's the way Hollywood was. There's dirty guys, perverts, and, still that way. Hollywood. There's still some pervert stuff. There is a lot. But I digress. It's just Marilyn was in over her head. And she just in the wrong places at the wrong times with the wrong people.
Looked like an overdose, but it was a hit. What they call wet works. Wet works are a term for assassination, targeted killings. And I've had a few people on my team killed over the years, and threatened, and certainly I have. But I'm not afraid of it. It's fine. Make my day. I'll be more trouble.
And
I have a whole system in place. If I die, the stuff that's going to hit a blockchain part of the internet they don't want that to happen. I'll just say that.
You know where the threats came from?
Yeah, we do. And
you do.
It's nice. In the last few years, I've had senior federal law enforcement approach me, as well as senior people in the military. And they call themselves the have-nots. It's very funny. I mean, they're like some of the top people. And they say, we're tired of being the have-nots. We want to know what's going on with this. So I have terabytes of data. And if you get on our website, drstevengurr.com, you'll see a link to our archive. Now, there's part of it that's redacted, but a lot of it isn't. And there's a huge amount of material. And so I started turning over everything to the Senate Intelligence Committee, House Oversight Committee, and people in federal law enforcement and military guys a number of years ago. Now they've actually realized the extent of the problem, and they're really aware that there are criminal activities, and those are being actively pursued and actively investigated by very top. I mean, it's a covert investigation, obviously, because of sensitivity. So I have to wear two hats. I'm in the public eye, but I'm also doing these things privately. But I want to emphasize, I'm not. I've never been paid by the government or a contractor. My group is totally volunteer. We won't take money from a big corporation, and it's all, we crowdfund everything, and people support us by providing us with funding. So I left my medical career when I realized that if we don't push on this, we're going to get into a very bad situation where at some point they could hoax some sort of an alien attack on the planet, and it would fool the president, it would fool people in the Pentagon. So, these are madmen. It's sort of like that,
sounds like
the mad scientists that were, in that, what was that early 60s movie with I forget,
that's what they were doing with this drone thing. Now they're calling UFOs drones. This is to make people, this is so psychologically how they do this BS. Stupid government. They say drones so people won't go looking outside to see that there are UFOs out there as well. Now, UFOs can also disguise themselves as drones as well. That ability, I've seen it myself. I can see that happening again. If they do this, they would do it also so people would have less rights, as well as for controlling and going through people's data, etc. Which they already did. They already made laws. Congress did. Giving us less rights. Drones, and they have chips and stuff installed on drones now, where they can see who's doing what with these drones and everything, where they're going, where they are, etc., who owns them. If I got one, I'd take that stuff off.
Like Kubrick's movie, but and you have these people who are
the War of the Worlds.
Yeah, and the closest thing to it. Did you ever see Independence Day?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Well, that is from CIA scripting right there, where the whole world gets united around a threat from outer space. And it makes for a nice science fiction film, but it's nonsense. One of the things that, a number of members of Congress I'm working with have said publicly, since we've been providing information, is that if these civilizations were hostile, we would have been shut down as a civilization in August of 1945 when we detonated the first atomic bomb. So, the idea...
He does have a big point with that, but at the same time, I do know that there are ETs, and they aren't from our government, all right, that do abductions, and there are other ETs that do different things with us, and some have, I've had stories where people have had different extraterrestrials just come over and harass, scare the living shit out of them. Some people from Alaska and other places where a UFO would, see the vehicle, and later on that night they would make some noise and scare the bloody shit out of them. Of course, I could jokingly say that those are juvenile delinquent ones, or whatever, but anyways, and the thing is, they don't need to subjugate us to do what they want either. They just see this as like a farm, and everything else is more like a project and everything.
Civilizations that advanced, that are moving through other dimensions from point A to B in the cosmos. And you're not doing it at the speed of light. You're actually dropping out of linear space-time and reappearing. It's like quantum entanglement, what's called quantum entanglement, but on a macro scale, a whole spacecraft. And almost like a teleport system. And we know how the physics of that works, by the way. And if you have that kind of technology in the 40s, and they saw us exploding atomic and then thermonuclear bombs,
a bunch of monkeys
and going into space, right? The early space program.
Big boy toys we should have.
If they were hostile, they would just shut our civilization down. We'd be a charcoal floating through space, is what Congressman Burchett of the House Oversight Committee said. But they can control the masses through fear. Think of what demagogues do. Hitler did it. Religious people do it. Ayatollahs do it. All kinds of people do it. They use fear to try to manipulate political leaders, but also the media and the masses. And it works. I mean, it's a very effective. So I think that's been the long-term agenda. I don't know if you remember who Werner von Braun was. He invented the rocket for Adolf Hitler. So Werner von Braun, the early V-2 rockets that were being flown over into Britain in World War II, the guy who invented that is the most famous rocket scientist in history, Werner von Braun. And he was brought over to the United States to become at the foundation of our space program at the end of World War II under Operation Paperclip, where they put a paperclip on a file. So instead of him being hanged at Nuremberg, those guys, the geniuses, were brought over. And
he wasn't a combatant. He was not a Nazi combatant. He didn't help in the slaughter of Jews, though. He helped with V2, which they could have used with him. The thing is, those guys, most of them, didn't care about, they didn't want nothing to do with the war. They just wanted to make rockets go to, the moon, go to space, and space faring and stuff like that. They want stuff for science, like that. So, I mean, that's another big reason why they weren't prosecuted.
While he was on his deathbed in 1974, and his right-hand assistant, who's on my team now, Carol Rosen, he said very directly, and I'm quoting, they are hoaxing an alien threat to try to unite the world around sort of a totalitarian and rather fascist agenda. And he says it's all a lie. And yet, if you look at what's going on with people who have been trying to hijack our disclosure efforts, they're operatives, they're called NOCs, non-official cover, that are in the UFO research community and all over the place talking about that it's a threat. Well, in reality, the only threat that we have to the world are ourselves.
Some are a threat.
And these civilizations are here to help and understand and wait for us to grow up a little bit and get out of our rambunctious adolescent psychosis and become...
Honestly, I wish Michael would not have picked him. I wish Michael would not have picked him. I mean, the thing is, Michael can be very smart. So, he can be very smart about this because he's gone through BS, with the government and stuff. So, I mean, but I wish he would have talked to somebody else about some of this stuff because he is not the biggest expert. He isn't. No one person can say that they're the authority, because whoever that one person is, they're the ones that are keeping this stuff a secret. So
a mature civilization. So that's really what.
I got to tell you what's fascinating about this, and I know there's no connection, but maybe there is. When you look at the Epstein files, and we hear that there is a group or a conclave of people that wield more power than any president or any dictator or anything else, and they really control what's going on in the world. And obviously, I believe there's a big cover up with the whole Epstein thing, and those names are never come out. Is it I mean, do these people cross
These
paths
deals
at
are
all? Are
murderers,
they
yeah.
one and the same? Is this one really big, you know, conspiracy out there by a group of people that are just basically untouchable?
It's all conspiracies. man.
Well, it's compartmented. So when you start getting into these sort of operations, you have compartmented operations. So most people, the left hand doesn't know the right hand exists. That's how this works. Now, at the top, there are a handful of people that are read in fairly high up. You know, former Vice President Dick Cheney was one of those. George H.W.
God,
Bush
I swear
was.
to God.
Clapper and Brennan are.
God,
There are,
Dick
so we know
Cheney.
this. Some of them
Oh
are.
my God, man. Anybody knows Dick Cheney? Oh my God. I think that he was more the commander in chief than George W. was. I believe that he was, you know, the machinations, you know, the like Bengali or whatever, something like that. It's like he was coaching George W. to do this and stuff, and he's making money from Halliburton and, you know, these defense contractors and just the evil associated with some of these people, you know, making these wars. And, you know, there's certain wars that need to be done. Afghanistan deserved what was happening to them. Iraq is different, but I don't know. It's like.
I've met with a number of them over the years. Back in the day when I first started this in 1992, the head of Army Intelligence and Special Forces, General Stubblebine, offered me personally $2 billion not to do what I'm doing and to become part of that group.
I don't believe that.
That's a true story.
Just me.
So I rejected it because I said,
Michael,
no, I'm
what
not
do you
for
think,
sale,
Mike?
and I'm not going to get corrupted by your
What do you think?
your weird little bunch of cultish goose-stepping
believe
nut
that?
jobs, you know, which is what they are. They're sociopaths and psychopaths.
That's true.
Most of them, not the guys, not the rank and file working in the programs. You know, I want to make a distinction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working with guys who are at black sites, covert sites out west currently, and they're on the teams that man the using electromagnetic weapons to knock down ET craft and then retrieve them. I've been in their choppers. I've been over their facility. I've seen the tech, how they do it. I have images of the underground bases where they take that equipment, both man-made and extraterrestrial, and we know where they are. If you get on our archive, you'll see it's about 150 some black sites we have on a map, and some of them we have the exact GPS coordinate for how you go underground. So that's all been turned over to the White House and to the Pentagon and you know, the Director of National Intelligence and the Senate Intelligence Committee, etc. So we very transparently are now handing over everything we have.
Well, let me ask you this: if you know these spacecraft or whatever you want to call them, that you know a lot of military sightings we've heard over the years, they had to be created by Grumman or Boeing or some of these companies
Lockheed Martin.
without the knowledge of certain people in the United States, and these were privately ordered aircraft.
Well, it involves a lot of criminal activity that generates revenue, drug running, human trafficking, etc., and the embezzlement of covert monies out of the Pentagon budget and the intelligence budget. Let me give you an example.
Well, let me tell you, that's not hard to
weapons.
believe when you hear how much money is unaccounted for in the Pentagon. I mean, they have no
it's
clue.
brilliant. It's true.
Yeah.
You know, we have on tape Rumsfeld the day before 9/11 saying that there were $2.3 trillion. This is 25 years ago, unaccounted for, missing in the Pentagon. We know now it's 8 or 12 trillion. Well, this is where it's been going.
Right.
Well, let me give you a little example. You know, my uncle's old company, Northrop Grumman, you know, builds the B-2 Stealth, right? They'll charge the U.S. government $2 billion a copy, and they actually cost maybe 100 million, 150 million. The rest of that money goes out the back door into these programs, making triangular-shaped anti-gravity UFOs, etc. Same thing at Lockheed Skunk Works. The president of Lockheed Skunk Works, on his deathbed, told a member of my team who is a renowned aerospace historian, James Goodall, that, and he was within a week of dying. He said, look, we have all this, anything you can imagine that you've seen on Star Trek, the Lockheed Skunk Works have already developed, and it's out there, not at Area 51, out in the desert with the Lockheed Skunk Works facilities underground, and I know where they're opening, how to get there, and it's fully developed. Now, this was in 1995, 31 years ago, when Ben Rich was on his deathbed. Yeah. Now, you can imagine in the following 30 years how far that's advanced. But when that's not under the control of the knowledge of the people, the people's representatives, the Congress, or the president, that is an existential threat to human civilization. This is what we're telling. It is a very hard thing for the president and Congress to get their minds around, which we have been the Paul Revere's warning of this for 35 years now. Now, it's luckily this president is really understanding the depth of the problem. So. And there are certain other people. I think the Director of National Intelligence is now awakening, but excuse my language, but my military guys I'm working with that are my liaisons there, they're all, he says, in the senior ranks, they're all having an oh shit moment. They're having the, oh my God, this is all real. So it's a worst case scenario in many ways. It's a very good scenario if this can come out in a graduated, the technologies, if they were to come out gradually, first the energy generating ones, and once it's safe to the things that fly. Now let me give you an idea. In this book, we have one of the cases, just one case, is a Marine guy who was dispatched to the earthquake and tsunami disaster in Indonesia in 2009. And he and his platoon came across a man-made UFO from Lockheed Skunk Works, 300 feet in diameter, and they were loading onto that thing humans crated up in containers that would be used in human experimentation. True. So it's gruesome, some of this, and that thing, when it took off, it lifted up and went over the horizon in 1 or 2 seconds, 100,000, 200,000 miles per hour, without a sonic boom, because they create an envelope, an electromagnetic envelope that cuts through the air without making them clap back together, which is what thunder is or a sonic boom is. So the technology, and that is human. So I would say 99.99999% of everyone in government, the Congress, the public, the media, if they saw that thing, they would say it's alien, but it isn't. So see, the biggest part of the secrecy isn't the extraterrestrial part. The big
there's a lot of stuff that I do agree with him, a lot of stuff that I know is true and everything, but there is stuff that is not true that he says, and I mean, that's just too bad. It's just too bad, really.
This part is what we have and what it's been used for. So that's what we're trying to stand down, disclose it properly. Now there are certain people like Bob Bigelow of Bigelow Aerospace is now closed, who's whispering to the president, oh, just do a partial disclosure. Don't tell people the truth. And because I don't work for the government, I'm going to say, no, we're not going to do a fake BS partial disclosure. And if that happens, I'll be everywhere saying, well, they're leaving out the most important part, and that's the human part. Because one of the agendas is to try to create a boogeyman enemy out of, the extraterrestrials in space. And who would that benefit? The same military industrial criminals that have been ripping us off for 80 years, right? So this is not the way to do it. Now, whether President Trump and the Secretary of War Hegsteth, how they navigate this, because there are big competing interests. There are people saying you cannot disclose what we have, humans have. And I've talked to several members of Congress. When they started looking into that part of it, they were told, your life could be at risk if you look into that. And these are people. I was
going to say, what luck is Trump going to have? I mean, I compare it to Epstein. There are people telling him you can't release certain things and it won't be released. This sounds like the same situation. He'll make an effort, he'll try, but nothing's going to come of it, most likely.
Well, he has enough information that he can do whatever he chooses to do. I'll just say he now, I won't say more than just to say he understands what we have and what's extraterrestrial. Now, whether he'll disclose that, because a lot of people have told me who are in special forces arenas and special operations, they go, well, they don't want to tip their hand that we have these advanced technologies because that's our little secret card to play. And I said, yeah, but unfortunately, the cat's out of the bag, because there have been too many people come forward, like this Marine and other whistleblowers, who have said that was our equipment being manned by kind of former special forces guys who are mercenaries working for these corporations.
Right.
And so, sorry, but that's, and be honest with you, this whole operation dealing with UFOs is the world's largest RICO, racketeering influence corrupt organization. Right. And the 1970 RICO law that was passed to take down the mafia, this is what is now being utilized to take this down. And we've recommended that, and now it's happening. I won't say anything more, but it has been concluded in
like
law enforcement circles that this is a RICO operation.
It's fascinating. Let me ask you this: now that you've, let us know about the covert side of this, what about the real UFO side? What do you have, like hard, factual, definitive evidence that these UFOs or aliens have visited this Earth and they've been seen by people?
Oh, sure. I mean, we have. I've got a dissection of an ET on a slab from 1920s that we have in our archive. You can go look at it. We have photographs of the bodies. We have multiple people on my team that are whistleblowers that are on the retrieval teams that have retrieved the bodies and handled them, alive and dead. So yes, absolutely. So we know that there are, I don't know, by now over 1,000 extraterrestrial vehicles have been shot down and retrieved, and the bodies are in storage. We know where that is.
Oh yeah, too big.
So no, this is no doubt. The problem is the public, and I went into the SCIF,
it's a lot.
the secure compartment information facility that's where top secret information is exchanged for the Senate Intelligence Committee. No one on the Senate Intelligence Committee or their senior staff, one of whom I met with would be like a 3-star general if he'd still been in the military. They didn't even know we had ours, and they didn't know there was a difference between an ET, alien craft, and a man-made one. They didn't know that where these underground bases were, and that there were connector systems between the Edwards complex and the Nellis Air Force Base complex and the Dugway Proving Grounds up in Utah. Now, we've mapped all that out for them now, but this has been a very...
I've actually seen some of those pictures, underground places that we have in Edwards. There's even an underground Plant 42. I don't know if there's a connection between that though and to like Area Edwards or to Area 51, etc. But I know Edwards does. I've seen it, and friends of mine have worked there, that worked at Edwards. They've seen it. You could put B-52 bombers underground, and they built those also just in case of nuclear war. Then they could roll those out and everything. It's crazy what they can fit underground. I mean, some real big stuff. So
deep. I call it disclosure PTSD. And you can only imagine a guy like me walks in and hands this sort of stuff off and the proof of it. And then they send investigators out and confirm everything we've said. And your life just got turned upside down. So it is a bit of future shock here. But yeah, the ETs are, well, last time I had a guy who was doing this way back in the 60s. He's passed away, Sergeant Stone. He was on a retrieval team, retrieving the bodies and the ET craft and stuff. And he said at that time they had cataloged 69 different extraterrestrial species from different star systems. So it's not just, I mean, the whole things you see in the movie of the one big bug-eyed one or the gray one or the little green men, that's all nonsense.
What do they look like? I mean, if you've seen them,
some of them do look like
Yep.
that.
do they compare to humans at all? I mean, do they have a totally different structure, a different body? What do they look like?
Well,
I actually don't like where he said that, where that is nonsense when it's true. Now, whether some are artificial intelligence ones or whatever, that's different. But say the ones that are bug-eyed or whatever, there are real people that work in the military said that that's what I saw. I saw this kind, saw that kind. So you're discrediting everybody that has real good, prestige, that, has very good, cred, military and secret access programs. You're saying they're all wrong. I don't know, maybe you said it the wrong way, I don't know. Like I said, there's stuff that I know he says is true, and other stuff, like I said, it's just BS and everything. To tell you truthfully, I don't like it where I disagree with him so much on this stuff. It's just those my experiences. I have my own experiences with ETs, UFOs, stuff like that. So that's the thing, you know.
Well, they have a head, two arms, and two legs, and that's where the similarities pretty much stops. There are some species that could be our first cousins, or look like they are. There are others that are very different. Some have an exoskeleton outside instead of an endoskeleton, like our bones, inside. Some
Another interesting thing that commenter mentioned is that who loses $2 billion? Only our government could do that and get away with it. Only our government could do that. If it was one of us, we'd be in prison and in federal prison, life, or whatever,
Some have a single heart lung organ instead of we have a separate set of lungs and heart. I know the details on this, and none of them are hostile. Although some people, like the appearance of one more than the other, but I mean that's just whatever.
That's
why do you think? Why do you think they
bullshit,
wouldn't be
dude.
hostile? I mean, we have people here on this earth that are very hostile. Whenever they came by, do you think they came by just as an exploratory, reason? Why do you think they even came around the earth?
Well, I think they've been around a long time.
Well, they'd have to be. Technologically, I think they'd have to be more advanced than we are, because I don't think we've traveled outside of this galaxy to find out if there's extraterrestrials.
They're orders of magnitude more developed than we were when all this started. Now, since we've spent trillions of dollars studying their own tech, we're getting pretty far along, which is dangerous because it's not under any control by the president and Congress. And by the way, these same organization have operations.
This is the thing is that I think it's dangerous for any president, for any government to have this stuff. I gotta be honest, as much as I don't trust people and everything, I think that I like to keep government out of that, because they're the worst offenders, they're worst criminals that I've ever known. And they want to keep all this stuff to themselves. They don't want us going into space. They don't want us, we have a right to access this stuff and to have better technologies and energy. And it's just corruption, endless corruption with whatever president, because president, Congress, they could just buy money into these programs, defense contractors and the tech companies, big tech companies, etc. And they can make money off of this. And Congress is corrupted with this as well, So he said, let me see, what was that question though? Oh, why are they here or whatever? And one thing is that in a lot of ways we are like an experiment. that's a lot of ways what we are. We experiment, just like you say they are an experiment. It seems like this keeps on rolling on for. There's different races and there's experimentation and playing God. You know, it's just like with CERN or whatever, where we've made our own universe and stuff like that. Who knows how many universes they made and stuff. We're like an experiment every day, and they want to see the circus and different, you know, entities want to create other entities, other creatures, and stuff like that. See if their experiment goes good or goes bad. And it's like how these, you know, in Africa, I don't know if people see these people that go on wildlife adventures, right? And they safaris, stuff like that, and they take, you know, they also have special fenced off areas, special areas for animals for to try to keep poachers out, and they don't try and help animals. They're in trouble usually, not always, but they usually, you know, they play God, and that's the way extraterrestrials and HI are with us. And some, you know, have been here for longer than we have, and a lot of them just want to do their own thing. They don't care to be noticed. Others do. Others want to know, want people to know, want us to evolve to a higher plane of existence. It depends, though. But
whatever.
Well,
I mean,
why do you think? Why do you think they wouldn't be hostile? I mean, we have people here on this earth that are very hostile. Whenever they came by, do you think they came by just as an exploratory?
well, this is the thing that Greer doesn't say, is that we've been attacked in Vietnam, we've been attacked in Korea, and you know, they're around World War II. I heard a few attacks in World War II, but they're observing us. They're going between our bombers and stuff like that. But they have attacked us in Korea. They attacked us in Vietnam along the that river. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot. Jeez, it's the main river. But yeah, they attacked us several times. They did not like us there in Vietnam. And Korea, they attacked us. I don't know if they attacked the Koreans too. I don't know, but they focused something on us, on our troops, and it made them sick. It made them vomit. Sounds like some of the tech that we have today.
You know, the reason? Why do you think they even came around the Earth?
Well, I think they've been around a long time.
Well, they'd have to be, technologically, I think they'd have to be more advanced than we are, because I don't think we've traveled outside of this galaxy to find out if there's extraterrestrials.
They're orders of magnitude more developed than we were when all this started. Now, since we've spent trillions of dollars studying their own tech, we're getting pretty far along, which is dangerous because it's not under any control by the president and Congress. And by the way, these same organizations have operations in China, Russia, all over the world. So it's not just. Right. We know one of the triangular craft were confirmed operating out of Russia, and one went into northern Iran and crashed and had to be destroyed right there on the ground. So we have that information, and that's also been turned over to congressional and White House folks. But no, those civilizations. Here's the analogy. Look at where we are with just what we developed in the 40s and 50s with nuclear weapons, right? It's called mutual assured destruction. So if we were to go into a full-out nuclear war, it would destroy all human life and civilization. Right. Now imagine technologies orders of magnitude more powerful at the basis of space-time and matter being weaponized. So if you are of the consciousness of violence and hostility, you're going to destroy your own world before you ever get out of your solar system. So I wrote a paper in 1991 called The Evolutionary Selection of Non-Hostility in Interstellar Civilizations. If you are that advanced in your technology, you're not talking about, laser beams and bows and arrows. You're talking about a technological knowledge that if you were to use it against and in a battle, let's say you had two warring, I know Star Wars and all that is entertaining, but in reality, those technologies will result in the dissolution of both planets like that. No, if people don't understand the physics of this, we do. You're talking, think of quantum entanglement, where every point in space and time is instantly interrelated at that level. Now imagine a weapon at that level. That weapon could take the Earth and turn it into a pink mist floating through space. So, no, if they were hostile, they would have destroyed themselves or each other before they found us. So this is, I've often said when I went to write Patterson.
They need us also for this other race, hybrid race that they're making and stuff like that. And so they don't feel like doing that. They do attack it. When they go over some of our ships, they take out the power to it. They take out the power, everything goes black, etc. Of course, one reason, of course, because we have weapons that we try to use against them. So what goes around comes around. But again, you're wrong to say all are peaceful. It's just, yes.
It's an Air Force base in Dayton, Ohio, years ago in 1993 to meet with the people who were in charge of what was called the, it used to be the Foreign Technology Division of the Air Force, and that's where the early UFO materials were sent to be studied. And this was, of course, 50 years later. But I said, look, if these guys were hostile, you wouldn't be breathing the free air of Earth. It'd be done.
Right.
We'd be over. Now, it doesn't say that they're not concerned about our hostility.
I also remember this. There have been UFOs in South America and stuff that have attacked people using colored lights, red lights, and done stuff to people just by the color of the light they shine on people. So that's...
And they're monitoring. This is why they're monitoring our nuclear capabilities and they're monitoring our space programs. Because those civilizations want to be sure we don't make too much trouble out in the universe, before we grow up and become a peaceful species. But we're obviously not there yet. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. So, we're still fighting over religious ideas and a few scraps of land like in Ukraine and this and that. So we're not exactly the most trustworthy species out there. The problem is, while we have very advanced covert technologies, we have not evolved socially and spiritually in a parallel way. In other words, our technology is way ahead of our social and spiritual development, and that's when a civilization such as ours is dangerous to ourselves. We're dangerous to others. As an emergency doctor, if someone came in crazy and dangerous to themselves or others, they'd be committed, right?
Yeah.
I fill paperwork and they go off to the loony bin and get committed involuntarily. But I think right now the human species has enormous potential right now, but we're also a little bit nutty in how we're running this planet. And the other thing they're concerned about is the biosphere. And I want to be clear about this. We have not needed fossil fuels or nuclear power since before I was born. And I'm no spring chicken. I'll be 71 in June. So here's the problem. They're watching this, and those civilizations have been around since the dawn of human history or before.
Well, this thing, like I said, their tech is cancerous to us. So, like I said, other workers that have been around us have gotten cancer. It's not just me saying this. it's the people that have been around this UFO tech or magic, which I like to say what is magic, and everything. So it has to, they need to take that effect off. They need to make some type of pill or shot, or like that's why they're doing re-engineering. But they have to see, it's like an allergic reaction, as some say too, that our skin, our body has, and we're just allergic to it. Our bodies don't react to it because it's not from here. So that needs to be made safer, or they make an inoculation for it.
I don't know if you know this, we just did the scientific testing on something called the Buga sphere, B-U-G-A. It was found in Colombia, and it's an extraterrestrial sphere about this big that got near a power line and shorted out, and now a friend of mine in Mexico City has it. That device we tested, it is 12,560 years old. Wow. We carbon dated it from some resin material around in some of these little portals around the center, like the equator of this sphere. And it's an anti-gravity free energy device, and it's now in civilian hands. So we're trying to do the studies on this. We've done CAT scans, we've done the metallurgy, and if your viewers just look up Buga sphere, B-U-G-A sphere. Sunday I was just addressing 8,000 people at their national auditorium in Mexico City about this. And that's the most astonishing physical artifact ever recovered that covert programs haven't stolen and taken into their possession. Now, when I was there with a member of Congress, Congressman Burleson, in June of this past year, about 9 months ago, there was someone who tried to break into the vault and steal it. And we've identified that person as somebody who works for the criminal cartels, although he was embedded with the federal police of Mexico. So we know that this is a very high value artifact. But they're all flying around. I mean, there have been.
Let's see here.
As a journalist, I'm very wary of engaging with the Bigosphere story because the people who are promoting it as an authentic anomalous object, I think, are preempting scientific investigation. I think it's wrong that there has been media publicity about this matter before it's been able to be rigorously, independently peer-reviewed, scientifically tested. Yes, there's a lot of claims that there are fiber optic cables or something built into the side of the object. There are a lot of claims about anomalous metal residue shavings.
That's why I didn't look into
what I'd like to see with anything like this is independent, peer-reviewed science. Why is that so hard before announcements are made in the media? As a journalist, I'm very wary of engaging with the Bigosphere story.
So he's not the only one to see. That's somebody else. Yeah. I have to get it confirmed with other people. I do.
And we've identified that person as somebody who works for the criminal cartels, although he was embedded with the federal police of Mexico. So we know that this is a very high value artifact. But they're all flying around. I mean, we have 11 or 12 videos of these things. Now, only one of them became malfunctioned when it got bumped up against the power line and landed. So that's the one we have.
So are they information gathering objects, possibly? Have you been able to determine that and maybe gathering information from these ETs?
It's a little ominous, but I think they're all getting activated right now because they're sensing a geophysical instability.
Well, let me ask you this: has there been any communication? Have they communicated verbally or whatever way they communicate with anybody here to tell us about them, or you know, where they exist, where they came from, anything? Has there been any
Yeah, well,
communication that you know of?
yeah, there's been quite a
Yeah,
bit
there has
actually,
been.
and I head up a team that is sort of a ambassador-oriented team to these people. It's called Close.
This is what I don't like, is that you say, I have this, I have this, I have these teams, I have this. It's like you say, I'm the person everybody has to go through. I have all this stuff and everything. And for me, it's just me. It should be everybody. I don't know. I don't know. It's just that's what I get in the feeling. It's like it's all about him and his organization. That he wants everybody to have to go through him, you know, and he's the only one that knows truth from lies. That's what I don't like. And I'm not the one to say this, others are. That's dangerous. That's not right.
Close Encounters CE5 Contact. So you can go to your app store and get the CE5 Contact app, and it's a whole training program. We just released a movie called CE5, The New Frontier in Contact, and we have had astonishing experiences. If you look at that movie, it's just been released on Amazon and Apple and I don't know where else. You will see, and my assistant can send you the link if you haven't seen it.
Please do. Yeah.
And it's an amazing document. It's about an hour and 10-minute documentary, but it goes through how we do this and what we're doing. Now, I've been doing this.
You know, some of those UFO photos that I was show on here and everything, I've shown some before. You know, with me, and they come to see me, some of these UFO stuff like that. I wonder sometimes. I wonder if maybe they stopped. I don't know. That's just crazy thinking. That's just maybe something didn't want me showing stuff. I don't know. It wasn't. I don't know. I already showed enough, but anyways.
With groups of people since 1990, and we have had craft come right in. We've had ET beings come very near where we are out in remote places that we have photographs of.
Same with me.
You know, it's pretty amazing. People go, really? I go, yeah. So one of the things
Same
we're
here.
recommending
I don't
in the
charge
executive
people.
orders that I drafted
I don't
for the
charge
president
people, by the way.
is that we're doing this as a civilian, non-official effort. But what we really need is to have our State Department and other foreign ministries around the world figure out, how do we communicate, make contact with these civilizations instead of just shooting them down with an electromagnetic weapon, right?
Yeah,
We need to take this entire crazy way we've been handling this for 80 years and do something intelligent with it. And I am certain that those civilizations want to do this, because when we set up the right conditions. Now remember, how are they communicating?
well, you do have to. Have
Well,
right
there's a
conditions,
problem.
That's true.
Everyone thinks we're myopic. You know, humans are very fixed in our little box.
Yeah, that's
But you're not
true,
going to use like we're communicating at the speed of light here, right? You and me right now. But at the speed of light, I mean, one of the civilizations we had contact with was an ET group from the Andromeda galaxy. It's 2.5 million light years from here. So at the speed of light, it would take 2.5 million years to say, hey, how you doing? And another 2.5
You could
million
do
years
that
for them to answer and say,
telepathic
I'm doing
psychically,
fine.
you
How
do
are you
that.
today? So we know their communication systems are going through a quantum entangled system.
This is the crazy thing, is that with telepathy, psychic abilities, it could go through space-time. It could go through all that. And this is another reason why I want people to know truth, people to know truth, and is that we have these abilities. You know, I've had some off and on through years myself, and it's crazy, but the stuff it goes through all that. You don't need. It doesn't take a billion years for one of our signals to get to another place. With psychic abilities and telepathy, stuff like that, You can do it a lot. It traverses it somehow. It's crazy, but
That, wait for it, this is where it gets into really wild stuff. Thought and consciousness. So, Neuralink's trying to do something with wires in your brain where you look at your computer. We're talking no wires, not at the speed of light, where you have devices that interface with very clear thought. It's almost like electromagnetic augmented telepathy or something like that. A very advanced stuff. And that's how they're communicating.
All right, let me ask you this. To your knowledge, is there any ET alive today and in somebody's presence or under somebody's control here on Earth?
Yeah, there's a whole group of them that have survived the downing. I have some men on my team that have been on the retrieval and transport teams after we knock one of these craft down. And they have confirmed that there are a number of living ones that are kept in an underground facilities. And I have requested that the president order that an operation be made to get those guys liberated. I know it sounds like science fiction. It isn't. And it's sad, because they're often tortured. We've done horrific things. This is, I always tell people, the proof that they're not hostile is that we are continuously targeting and knocking their craft down and capturing them and torturing them.
That's what I was going to ask you.
If someone were to do that to us and we had way superior technology, what we're doing to Iran would look like.
But again, there have been some that have attacked us. But it's true, we are going after the peaceful ones. From what I see, and what I get from them, extraterrestrials, UFOs that I see, they're afraid to be here and stuff like that because of that. And so my question is, why is our military going after the bad ones? I know his answer is because it's not them. He's going to say that it's the government. It's not. All right. I know the government does a lot of bad stuff, very evil stuff. I know that. But like I said, there's good and bad ETs. There just is.
Like a picnic, right? So this is where they're closer to Gandhi or Christ than they are to the way humans behave, right? They're very, very advanced civilizations. They are not violent or hostile, notwithstanding all the nonsense out of Hollywood and whatnot. But I think this is the proof of it, as I know, and many people on my team know, who I've had guys who are Delta Force guys cry with me on what they have done and how horrible. And these are top special forces people in the world that I know personally. And so, there are these sort of atrocities that we have done. And it's not as if people in Congress or the White House know about it. But they're finding out. But so this is such a huge issue to fix, because we have 80 years of things having gone off the rails, right? So now we have to fix it. And, I think the time is now to do it. It's got to be fixed.
Let me ask you, the ETs that exist right now, do they seem to be coming from different places?
Yes.
In the universe, or are they all, one species, so to speak?
No. They're from multiple different star systems, and they work together. And there's no evidence that any of them are mean us ill. There are, how do I put this? There's the equivalent of the cosmic special forces guys who are trying to protect other worlds from us. See, people have this all backward. We're the threat. Humans with the kind of technologies we have, we're the ones that are a threat to other worlds out there because of the technologies that are in these covert programs and our willingness to use them violently. So on the one hand, as an emergency doctor, I tell people, I've seen a knife used to, cut your bread, and I've seen it to cut your throat open. So it's the same tool, but what's important is what's the consciousness that wields it. So in this case, you have some covert programs that are unchecked that have a lot of sociopaths in them that are using these technologies in very dangerous ways. Now, I frankly have said in the memo and the materials to the White House and Congress, this is a much greater national security danger than China, Iran, or Russia. Because you have people with that kind of technology using them against civilizations that advanced who, up till now, have shown enormous patience and forbearance. But how long that largesse will last? Because there's a universal right to self-defense.
Yeah, they do.
And then watch out. So I think that we have to really get this thing under control. I don't think we have 5 more years to do it. I think it needs to be done in the next few months to 2 or 3 years, which is why I made it very clear to President Trump that this is, one way or another, this is going to have to be resolved on your watch, whether you like it or not. I think we're out of time, completely out of time to fix this problem.
Out of time before what might happen?
Well, there are 3 risky scenarios. One is, I mentioned, geophysical instability that's growing because of a number of things we're doing. The second is the fact that the more we target these civilizations, we don't know at what point they're going to have to stand that capability down, right? And that would look like Independence Day or War of the Worlds, and we don't want that to happen. And the other is this false flag capability, where in the past, for psychological warfare reasons, psyops, they've engaged in using our man-made UFOs and abductions and mutilations, and all the UFO kooks say, oh, the aliens are doing this. I go, no, they're not. I know the guys who are doing that. I have a number of them on my team who admit to doing it.
I don't care about
and I have documents that prove we've been doing
other people know.
But we don't know at what point they're going to take that one step further and stage an alien attack on the planet that would be all human, but it would fool everyone. And I debriefed somebody in 1997 who, in the 70s, was on an interagency team. He says, yes, we can hit a button and the sky will be filled with our man-made UFOs attacking places, and everyone will think it's an alien attack. It's your classic false flag.
Actually.
In the Pentagon, it's called a deceptive indication and warning, or deceptive INW. That's what they're called when you do stage a false flag. And people forget, that's what the Gulf of Tonkin was. We staged this attack on our own Navy vessel so that the warmongers could expand the Vietnam War, and the public was so upset that President Johnson was stampeded into expanding that quagmire into the mess that it became. That's a fact. You can go look this up. Yeah. And actually, I won't go into this too far, but 9/11 was that kind of thing. So I think that what you have here is the big one after COVID. COVID was also a big psyop. It was a biological warfare weapon for the purpose of testing to what extent they could control the masses. Yeah. The big one would be this, what Werner von Braun warned about on his deathbed. He said, we are going to hoax an alien attack on the planet. It's all a lie, but it will trick and fool almost everyone. So we're trying to expose that. But see, if this festers much longer with that group that have the technologies I'm talking about, in a minute they could stage this and it would fool. Well, it had. I mean, look at what they've been doing for decades, fooling everyone. Everyone thinks, oh, those are alien events. And, our military guys chasing these objects thinks those are military, right? Well, they're not. I mean, or alien, they're military or covert aerospace programs. So the ability to hoax an attack on our planet is real. And
what would be the goal in them doing that, staging a really false alien attack on the entire world? What would they accomplish?
They want to unite the world around a military junta, a totalitarian system. And how do you do that? How do you get one race or one ethnicity or one nation to stop fighting with each other? You create a bigger problem up there, and it unites everyone against a common enemy. But in that uniting of the world in war instead of peace, they can then exert all manner of totalitarian controls. That has been a 70-year plan. I have a CIA document from 1953 or 54 stating that they can use the UFO issue to great advantage for its, quote, psychological warfare value. So once they got close and mastered the technology in the mid-50s, and they knew they were close to that in 53, 54, then what has happened is that they've started a long-term program to brainwash the public that there's a threat out there. Now the question is, will they brainwash President Trump and other people?
There is sometimes.
We're providing the information we have, but there are some devils on these deep state operations around the president, giving him the opposite perspective. So this is getting into like, well, which of these narratives is it gonna be the true narrative or the false flag narrative? And when you have someone like
that's what I don't like. I don't know everything. You don't know everything. We could both be dead wrong. We could be totally misled. What out there? Maybe we're implanted with stuff. Maybe everything is fake. Who knows? If you really question everything. The thing is, I don't have all the answers, of course. You know, I just know people that worked around these places, and you know, told me stuff and everything. And I have my own UFO, you know, ET experiences, stuff like that. And that's what I gauge what I know, what I think I know, or whatever. And you know, there's good and bad ETs, you know, and everything. But I mean, the thing is, when somebody says they know everything, like you see this lady says, I know this, I know that. It's like I know it's like he's 100%, and it's like our way is the truth. It's like say our way is the truth. Our way is the only way, and that's not right. Because listen, I know a lot of stuff he says is very true, and there's stuff that is just not true. It's not, and everything. But let's see. I just want to see if somebody else has anything to say here.
President, who's very busy, and you know you have to do a one-sheeter for him, and he's doing a million things a day. It's very easy for people who are in the system he trusts, who are actually foxes in the hen house, who are bad actors, for him to take their advice.
Don't make fun of my house.
And that's the problem with like Bob Bigelow, who was close to the president, who had Bigelow Aerospace, is now defunct. But you know he's been saying this sort of thing to the president.
So really, right now, what you believe is Trump is the only one standing in the way of a possible phony war of the worlds, and not making that happen by exposing
I
it.
don't believe
And the only way to do it is to eliminate the element of surprise. Because if you announce that we've studied this for 80 years, we have technologies, and there have been some abuses with those that have not been supervised, that we're going to stand down. And if you look at this briefing document I showed you, we have a sample speech that we've written. And I'm also providing that to people in the United Kingdom, Canada, Mexico, European Union, elsewhere. Because when all this is all going to come out, I think, this year. And when it does, I think people need to understand there are going to be the mainstream media, by the way, which is controlled by these interests, these sociopathic interests.
Sure.
They're going to go with only the narrative of a threat, right? That's what happens. I mean, you have to remember, anyone who tells what I'm telling you will be blacklisted off of CNN and Fox and ABC. In fact, I was on Joe Rogan's show years ago, and in order for him to get his $100 million from Spotify, he had to take my interview out of his archive. Yep. I was on Sean Ryan's show a couple years ago, and with a couple of these whistleblowers, and he got millions of views, and he was threatened, he and his entire family. And so now we're banned from the Sean Ryan show.
Wow.
That's true. I have a voicemail. I have the voicemail from Sean Ryan to prove it. So the problem here is, if you know the truth and you tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, you're going to get blacklisted, and that's what's happened to us. And yet we still have this big network, and yet we have 6 documents.
He's like, right. He's just, this is the quietest I've seen Michael Franzese. I've seen Michael Franzese actually be rude to other guys on the stage. Namely a guy from Britain, that was in, the British, English mob over there and everything. And he just wouldn't let him hardly speak whatsoever. And this is the first time I know what he's thinking with some of this. I know he's thinking. And it's like something he can't believe, like you said. Other stuff is like, that just doesn't sound right. It doesn't. And he knows that, and I could see that. It's like I could go into his mind and I could see what he's thinking.
Documentaries out. One of them, called Unacknowledged, is the one that President Clinton has recommended to people to see. And it's on Amazon and Tubi, and you can go look at it. It's had over 850 million people see it. So I recommend people look at that, because we're trying to put out on. And by the way, I don't get paid to do this. I'm doing this because we know it's the right thing to do. And we only have a couple paid staff members, and we've been doing this, my wife and me, and a lot of volunteers, and a couple paid staff is all we have. And we've been doing this for 35 years.
Well, Doc, I'll tell you this. If I get threatened, this interview will be aired, obviously. And if I get threatened, it won't be the first time. So it doesn't really concern me. I mean, this is...
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, this is fascinating information. It really is. I put nothing
Michael
past...
Franzese doesn't get threatened, something is wrong. If somebody doesn't threaten him, it's not good.
These people, and again, we can't identify them, but
right.
Things seem to make sense. They really do, and I appreciate you coming on.
We have identified them, and we've handed them over to law enforcement and to oversight people. Now, what they do with it, I have no official standing, but we are recommending that they be interrogated and offered immunity deals in exchange for cooperating with standing down the criminal operations. So, how this plays out.
That's the thing, is that even if what he says, about some stuff, and I know he knows stuff, I know he knows a lot. I'm not saying that he doesn't. I'm just saying that some of the stuff that he says is total BS. So, and I don't like that, because the thing is, people need to know the truth. People need to hear it. People need to see it. Like, where I am, I was talking to a worker here where I am at the complex here, and I told her, hey, would you like to see some UFOs or whatever? And she's like, oh no, that's all right, that's okay. And I'm thinking, it's like, Jesus Christ, who wouldn't want to see this stuff? Who would not want to see it? To me, that's insanity. To see something that's not from here. I don't see the government putting on a show for me, night after night or whatever, doing different stuff that defy physics or whatever. Now, I know the government could do different shows like with the drones or whatever. I get that, but I don't think they would do it just for the idiot, the village idiot like me, or whatever, It's like the government's like, we have better things to do than play with this schmuck, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, if they're to play somebody, they're to play with somebody that has millions of followers, or whatever. They use that as a psyop, as a psychological warfare thing. But me, it's like, I just don't understand. And I get that a lot of these people are from the streets. A lot of them do drugs. And a lot of them probably prefer to do that or something else. I know, because people are trying to get some interested in it. They just went off, they got high, and they missed seeing it. And I showed them the pictures. I said, look what you missed. This is what you missed. There's a lot more out there, but I was able to get on camera. And I say, what the fuck is wrong with the, I don't know. Is it just me? I don't know. I don't know. I just, and the thing is, I want people to know about this. And unlike some people, I would try to make money off of this. Everybody needs to know the truth about this stuff. Everybody needs to. And it should never be, about. I understand people need to make money. I get that. I do. But, unless I put on, something that I don't have a vehicle. I had to go out my trike or whatever. But unless, it's something like really big, I don't care about money. I just want people to know the truth about it, And that's it. I want people to see this stuff like I've seen it, throughout my life and everything. And people know the truth, and that's me. I don't know what anybody else thinks here, but I think I'm gonna. Let me see what else is there. Well, I can go Michael. I want to get Michael. I want to see what he has to say.
All right, my friends. God, there's a lot to unpack there. Number one, let's get down to what he said. He said definitely there are ETs, extraterrestrials, that we have in our possession. When I say we, human beings of some sort have in their possession right now. That they have communicated with them.
Right.
That they are not hostile to the earth. Okay, to the human race, I should say. And if they were, he said, we would have been obliterated already. That's what he said. My thoughts on this.
Well, I just gonna say this real quick. They're good, bad ETs, just like with people here on Earth. That's the way that they are too. They're not all the same. They're not. And should some have different jobs and stuff like that? Yes, definitely. I know that some people have said, no, that can't happen. ETs have a job, have different things to do like humans. What do you expect? You think they're to collect Social Security? You think they're just using one of these vehicles to do a bunch of nothing, or just sightsee and not,
You hate to say that somebody just doesn't know what he's talking about. You hate to do that. I listened to the doctor, and I gave him the opportunity to say it all. I didn't interrupt him, as you see.
I'm surprised.
I have a problem with it because we haven't had any real evidence yet, because it can't come out. Now, let me tell you where things start to make a little bit of sense to me. And then I'm going to go into a religious aspect on this also. But hang in there with me for a minute. He said that there's this elite group of people, okay, that really do control what's going on this planet.
Right.
I liken it to the whole Epstein matter. This elite group of people, and it's all powered by money and power and prestige. That's it.
Right.
But what he said is, in order to unite the entire world, they would fake. They have the technology and they've been working on it for years, to fake an alien invasion to bring the whole world together and then put it under totalitarian rule. Is that really far-fetched? I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I have to think about this. Are there forces at work, the same forces that, that we can never find out who's really involved in all this Epstein matter?
Right.
What he said, very, very interesting to me. He says he knows who killed Kennedy and why Kennedy got killed. I should say. He got killed because Kennedy was getting to the bottom of this whole UFO ET,
That's not the reason
program or whatever you want to call it. He was getting to the bottom of it. And these elite people didn't want that to happen because their plan, again, is to possibly fake this phony alien attack to bring the world together under totalitarian rule. Now, it sounds like a science fiction movie. Sounds like it. But if what he's saying is true, and I don't know, he says he's delivered all this documentation to President...
This is just my opinion. Could our government and world governments that have special gatekeepers with this magic, with this technology, do something like that? Yeah, they could. They could. What will it happen is another thing. Would they do that? It's like, you know, they could do something else to trigger. I mean, I get stuff all the time how even Trump has this surveillance stuff on us where it's like, you know, not like that, but AI and how it's going to replace humans. And Melania Trump says we should, you know, let AI take over, and we should have these artificial intelligence robots and all this BS, and you know, it's just the end of humans, being around humans, and not having jobs, losing jobs and everything. And how Trump also signed this bill where it's like, you know, Wi-Fi routers, by law, we're not supposed to get routers anymore from other countries, only from the U.S. And that's, of course, because they say it's for security reasons. And that's honestly because they want to be able to see what we're accessing, our government does. And I know about all these data centers that they're using to track our stuff, are going to spy on us, all this stuff. Now, technology's corrupted the government as well. Psychopaths, sociopaths. I know about that. It's like, you know, with what Greer say actually happened, it could. Could it not happen? Could not happen too. There's different ways of enslaving humanity. There are different ways, you know, with different things like AI and other stuff, different technologies, and everything. I've seen the future. It's very dark. It's very dark. I'd say my parents are lucky that they're dead, so they don't have to live with what's going on. Very lucky that they're dead and gone. I wish I was with them in a lot of ways, because I mean, I see the future is bad. It's bad. I see different versions of the future and stuff, because people are manipulating the time stream. There are people that are changing it, and that's not good. I remember this channel also, you know, making this video, have people change time. Yes, people have. People have. I've seen time change in different directions and stuff, not for the better.
And Trump, so that President Trump releases this, and somehow, do I believe that'll happen? Why should I? I don't know. If these forces really do exist, and they really do control what's going on in this world, then probably it's not going to happen. Same way we don't know what happened with Kennedy. Classified documents, 63 years, we still don't know. Epstein, we're not going to know, and I've said that many times. We're not going to know. And this is not Trump himself. This is the group of people that are controlled by this.
You said yourself that the mob has stuff to do with it as well. We both know what the mob did. There was intelligence, there was CIA, there was National Security Council. There was, we know, it's also admirals and generals were pissed. I know this. You know, my father had access to nukes. He met JFK. They wanted to go have nuclear war, etc. They said we could blow them up. We could go over there to Cuba, blow them up in 15 minutes. That's what my dad said, because he was there with JFK. they're at Homestead. I believe, yeah, it's Homestead Air Force Base, Strategic Air Command there. He was in on that meeting. So you have all these different groups that wanted him dead. That's bad. That means kinds of people want you dead.
Conclave, or whatever you want to call them. I don't know. Very, very fascinating. But let me get to this for a minute. The religious aspect. I'm a Christian. All right? I read the Bible. Nowhere in the Bible does it say, that there's any life that exists outside of the human race, because that's what God created. Now,
I'm glad I left that.
It doesn't say there can't be or there isn't. So I don't know.
This is the thing. I went through a lot of abuse from this bullshit religious people. I went through a lot of fucking abuse. I hate these religions. I hate what they do. It's just different tribes throughout these years. They're trying to kill each other off and everything. If they make new gods, and now they're sticking to the one god thing and everything, but it changes through time and space and everything. And I remember I always knew about UFOs, just about. Alright, I've had a lot of different paranormal experiences, seen angels, demons, stuff like that, dead people as well, because other people confirmed that to me. When I told them what I saw, they said, oh, that's this kid that was killed out here from getting run over and stuff. They used to live where I lived and everything. So, I mean, but when it came to UFOs, they said, oh, that's not in the Bible. I said, the Bible don't know everything. And they say, oh, that's Satan. That's demons. You got demons in you. I'll beat a guy up for that. He went too far, and I went through a lot of abuse from these stupid fucker religious people. I believe that I was a demon. I believe that I got problems. Anybody's gonna have problems. When you're told you're a demon, people fuck up your head. So I don't want to hear this stupid religious BS. I've had near-death experiences. I know there's like a God and stuff like that and everything, but it has nothing to do with these earthen religions so much. And the God is like multiple different gods and everything put into one and everything, and it's pretty complicated. And Jesus Yeshua is like an ascended, being and everything. Like I said, it's very complicated, but you don't need to be religious to go to heaven. You don't. And the only person that's like pure evil, real bad, goes to a place like hell. And there's different dimensions. There's not just heaven, hell, earth. There isn't. There's multiple dimensions. But
I mean, if God wanted to create another race of people in a different galaxy or, universe, he can certainly do that. I don't know. As a Christian, I would have to say no. I don't believe that. But when you listen to some of the things that you say, why not? I mean, it's possible God created another race of people. Call them people. You heard what Dr. Greer said. He said they have 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head.
There's also a lot of books that were left out.
It's God.
Catholic
He was duplicating it.
Out, so.
But who knows? I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no. Christians, don't get mad at me and say, you know what, you're blasphemy. Don't do any of that. I'm just throwing it out there. I am not an expert in this regard. I don't pretend to be. I don't have enough knowledge. I haven't studied it. I don't know. So when a person like this comes forward who's been working on this for 33 years, I listen and I let him talk. And it's for everybody to decide. Is there some truth to this? Maybe this will stimulate you to a point where you want to look into it.
Is that quiet so much?
I don't know. Obama, I read it in the beginning, kind of slipped, said we do have ETs, And then he came back on an Instagram post and said, you know, we're not saying that they do exist. We're saying that the possibility of them existing is there. That's what he said. He kind of cleaned it up. Who knows? You know, people, we're not told 50%, maybe less than that, of what really is going on. We really don't know. But a lot of fascinating things he said. So you make of it what you make of it. I just try to bring you this information if we have a guest that's going to shed some light on certain things. And listen, I've heard in comments, many people believe there are UFOs, you know, unidentified flying objects, and also extraterrestrial beings. A lot of people do believe that. But is it a hoax that they're playing on us to unite the world at some point? Are they going to get to that?
It's all the above. It's all the above. It's all those answers. It's also a psyop. There's hoaxes. There's psyops with this, and there are real ETs, and there's like real governments, and there's a cabal that like a world organization as well. That, you know, the drone thing that happened didn't just happen in New York. It happened across the country here. It happened in Russia. It happened in China. It happened in Australia. It happened in South America and in other places. And the thing is, they didn't report that. Mainstream news never reported that. But you could get it from other, you know, non-mainstream news. So then you have to question, you know, it's like other, you know, is this, you know, world government thing? I believe there is. But at the same time, it's like, it sounds ridiculous that I'm thinking that. Because it just seems like bullshit, but you know it's real. That there is cabals, you know, that control the information of what we can know and not know around the world. You have Russia, China, you have, you know, UK, you know, France or whatever, different countries having access to extraterrestrial tech, magic, and stuff, and they're led by social psychopaths, as he put it. That's the way that I put it as well. And it's like, anyways, let's see. There's a picture. I want to show some more UFO stuff, but we'll work on Streamlabs here. But anyways, I think that's all I'll do for right now. Thanks. Hope everyone has a good night. If you're in a good place, in the desert or wherever, open your mind, and sometime you're going to see UFOs. I really think that. And you just have to open, I don't know, for me it's like I become like a radar dish. I scan the sky, and sometimes I can peel the sky, and I start to see things. It's weird, but it's like, you know, people are going to see things, you know, and everything. Whether it's government, extraterrestrial, whether it's a satellite, whether it's a drone, whether it's a plane, or a flying car, who knows? You know, but, you know, see something out there. Anyways, y'all take care and peace out. Hope you have a good night, everybody. I wish I would be on more, but I've been having a lot of problems with my legs. So, that's the reason.